I have no visual on you, by the way. Oops. And then I accidentally turned mine off right afterwards. Cool. There we are. So, did. Hmm. Yeah, I was getting kind of upset with the person who you were talking to, so I was already like kind of energized, and then I you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think by the end of it, they said that they didn't think that you were transphobic. Is that correct? Or did they more or less say? Yeah, knack. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. One of the things I think that's it's such a crazy thing to talk about because I think that most of the time that I hear somebody being called transphobic, or in this case anti-trans, all that it really means is that you don't agree with the trans people that I know. That's all that they're really saying, unless, like, don't get me wrong, there's some people out there that are like blatantly transphobic. Um, they say things like just I don't know, just hateful, bigoted shit that's like there's no like that they wouldn't even deny. But there's such a far cry from that and the things that I hear most people getting called transphobic for, and it's kind of crazy. Um, what I wanted to ask you when I came on there is, do you think that there's some amount of transphobia that everybody has who isn't trans, and maybe some people that even are, that like you just can't separate yourself from, in much in the way that I think that some people have a really small amount of racism who mean no harm to anybody, like systemic transphobia. Uh, if I were to say somebody's transphobic, I would say it in the way that I think most people would have said it 5 years ago. Is that somebody is like on purpose bigoted. It has nothing to do with like I think that you would have to hate or strongly yeah, I think you would need to hate or dislike trans people um for being trans. I would say that that's what transphobia is. They can't hear you. Let me see.
Best.
Okay, it works now. Sorry. Thank you for saying something to me. Um, my headset has two different settings, and for whatever reason, it'll switch which things want to
All
take.
right.
Uh, is that
Well,
your opinion of transphobia as well?
so I believe that when I say transphobia, and I absolutely do see transphobia, like plenty. It's people that hate trans people. Um, and there are disagreements that you can have. So I honestly, I don't. I'll try to stay. I'll try to fucking stay on task. Okay. I'm so I'm so fucking chaotic. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of transphobic people. There are people that hate trans people, are afraid of them. Like they might get like the ick from trans people, and they're like I need like whatever you're doing is wrong because it makes me uncomfortable. And those are transphobic people.
Yeah,
Um, or they think that trans people are doing something like
bad by virtue of being trans.
yeah, they're doing something immoral. I believe, which is I believe something. If you swap some of those words, I believe something immoral is being done to trans people. I don't think they're doing anything immoral.
I agree. Oh, uh, Rocky Style, thank you very much for the donation on YouTube. You're my first YouTube donor. Appreciate you. Um, I think that so wait, before I say something about that because I might go off on it. So
Yeah.
when I said like, do you think that there's a thing like systemic transphobia? What I would mean is that there's something baked into our society as seeing trans people as different, that we are inevitably going to treat them differently, uh, no matter what, to some degree, because uh, there is sort of like a built-in otherness to being trans, as far as our society is concerned. It's like the reason why we have to have so many conversations about it. It's similar to like systemic racism, that while you may not hate black people, you might do certain things that put black people out in some way without even realizing it.
You know what? You know what's funny? This question is really uh, unusual or weird to answer because I think that if there is systemic uh, injustice or systemic oppression of trans people, I believe that it is by transgenderism or trans ideology itself.
I actually think that um, some of the most quote unquote liberal ideas about transgenderism is at the very least the spark of the most harm that's coming to them.
Yeah, I know a lot of trans people. Not, I mean, actually, I've seen on Twitter. Okay, I don't
Sure.
know. I've seen on Twitter plenty of trans people on Twitter that'll say stuff like I'll see a trans woman saying that if she like men are like supposed to be workers, like workers ants, like and women are supposed to be like creative and doing stuff at home and everything. And that's what led me to like that's part of what led me to wanting to be trans because I was like I don't fit, there's something wrong with me. Um and I a lot of I keep saying a lot of there are trans people that let it really lean on gender stereotypes that are harmful to men and women. And I believe that I'm not saying that those trans people are hurting men and women. I think that the gender stereotypes that hurt men and women are affecting those trans people just in the opposite way. Like if if you are trans, you like a trans woman is affected by all of the shit that women have to deal with, like from advertisements about beauty standards, like the thing like having to shave your legs, like, and they think that that's what's going to make them who they are. Just like a woman thinks that she has to shave her legs to be her, like, and it's the same. I've been there. It's more work if you're a trans woman or like a femboy or whatever, which really sucks. But it comes from the same place. For me, it came from like Instagram and shit. When
Sure.
as soon as I started using Instagram and seeing all these pretty women, I was like, "Holy shit, like, why am I not that?"
Uh, I think that makes a lot of sense. When I was a kid, really young, I used to have really long hair, and I got bullied for it by people in my family. And say I have girls' hair, and then probably to some degree in school. I think I have some vague memories of that. And I just rejected it a lot, and I cut my hair just because I wanted people to stop making fun of me. I was like 6, and so I got my hair cut just because like I didn't care about like why they were making fun of me, as far as like they're like calling me like a girl or whatever. I was just like, if I just lose the hair, then they'll stop fucking picking on me. But then when I was like old enough to have a say in my hair again, like it mattered then for the reason I guess, but until I was a teenager, uh, I didn't get to have a say. It's just like you're just gonna do whatever we want. I wanted to grow my hair back out again because it didn't make any sense to me. I didn't care if somebody had that opinion anymore. But I grew up with like the older people in my family always try to really reinforce gender norms. I think when I was 12, around 12, I asked for an easy bake oven because I wanted to be able to make snacks. And I definitely got comments like that's a girl thing, and it just blew my fucking mind that like I just remember thinking like it seems like you guys are old enough to understand that doesn't make any sense. Like I just couldn't
Mhm.
wrap my head around it for the life of me, and I never uh, like as far as back as I can remember being able to make my own decisions, I never let that play any part of my decision making and what I did. Like when I
Mhm.
was like 14, I made some of my trip pants into a skirt and I wore that to school. And even the teachers had a problem with it. I was like, this is so bonkers to me. It just always felt like everybody was playing a game and I just didn't understand like why they were into it. I feel like that's how people feel when they walk into a card shop and see me playing Magic. They're like, I don't get the appeal here. Uh,
Right. I think that you in that case were I got some lexicon that helps me with some of these conversations lately. I really appreciate this verbiage. But I think that you very early on and abnormally became self differentiated very early. Like so that what that means is you like so if you are not self-differentiated, which is like it happens in your family and stuff, your family will tell you have long hair and you become ashamed and you're like, oh well, I should have short hair because you guys are saying that it's wrong and it feels wrong for me because you guys said it's wrong. So it feels whatever you say about me is how I feel about myself because you're not differentiated. And the other way that can play out is you can also be like fascistically aggressive with telling other people what to do because you're still not differentiated, but it's not that you want to get your ideas about yourself from other people. You want to force other people to be like you. So in both cases, you are not differentiating yourself. You're not able to hold yourself and your own feelings and thoughts as separate from other people's feelings and thoughts. That's a really challenging thing for a lot of people. And I think that, and the opposite of being differentiated is being enmeshed. And I think
yeah,
that I think people are encouraged to be culturally enmeshed with a lot of shit, especially with social media, especially with like it started with, I mean, it started forever. I mean, just human nature, but a big part of this started with advertisements and beauty, makeup, clothing, that kind of thing. And they want you to feel bad for not wearing the makeup, bad for not buying the shoes, bad for not buying a Game Boy. What Nintendo like Sega can do what Nintendo don't or whatever, like you're a loser. Are you a baby? Well, why don't you buy this? Because you're a baby if you don't. And the advertisers and social media and everyone posting on social media wants you to feel enmeshed with them because they want you to like they I mean usually they want you to buy whatever they're selling.
yeah.
Um, so I believe that we have a problem with cultural enmeshment with these gender standards.
Uh, yeah, big time. And I think I went through a good part of my life not thinking it was that bad. And I kind of woke up more to it when, for a long time before I had my kid full time, I would just get my kid every other weekend because that's what the courts give me. That's what a lot of dads get. And I remember my kid saying something to the effect of like, "Well, that's for boys," and I was like, "No, uh, it's not for boys, or that's a girl thing." And I'm like, "No, it's not. There's no such." And I remember one time, the girl showed, and I stopped. Said, "There is no such thing as girls' clothes and boys' clothes. They're just clothes." And I was like, "Why do
Just a little
you
bit,
think that?" And that's what my mom says.
just for the record, the shoulder like because I wear a lot of women's clothes. Like I own a lot because they have way better styles. Like all men's clothes are so cookie cutter, and I end up having a lot of women's clothes. Um, Shoulders, like once I started working out, like shoulders, like not ripping a woman's shirt or blouse when taking it off becomes more of a tedious thing. And I could always wear the same size pants as my girlfriends because they'll have like they'll f- the Oh, actually, no, that's actually not the case. But like, say I'm dating someone that's like slightly bigger than me.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then the waist size, I don't know, I don't even remember. Like the waist sizes, like women just have bigger hips. So like she might like seem smaller, but like, oh yeah, if a woman seems smaller, yeah. So a woman will seem smaller, but her hips are actually the same size as you. So the clothes are different size wise. That's all I want to say. Let's continue.
Sure, and I'm sure that there's some like nitty gritty you can get down to with the intent. But my whole thing that I wanted to impress upon my kid is that there's nothing magical about the fabric or the styles that
Yeah.
preclude one gender or the other from wearing them. And I was so mad that my kid's mom was like beating my kid over the head with this. Like
Mhm.
it, it just felt like even though it's the norm, it just felt like brainwashing to me. Like, why would you try to make my kid think this when like there's nothing good can come of this?
Yeah.
Seems like you're only going to limit the things that my child thinks that they're going to be capable of doing, or at the very least what they're going to be accepted for doing. And I think that's when I started thinking about it more and more. And then last year my kid told me that they were trans, and I just was kind of like that's cool, it's not a big deal, just so you know, I don't think of you any different, it's chill. um
Mhm.
and I knew that his mom had a really bad reaction, um, because like this very gendered way of thinking, or very traditional way of thinking about gender, rather. Uh, and I think it's really, really weird. It seems like everybody has some really visceral and strong way they want to talk about this, and it's never honest. Like
Mm.
nobody, even the people that are like, I think even transphobic people, I think that the stuff that they say mostly isn't honest because they don't want to cede any ground. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, we have people that are so caught up in making sure that uh, they don't seem transphobic and that everybody who they actually do support knows that they're supporting them, that they can't say anything that might come off as even slightly offensive to like the most offendable person. And I think that it's we're only hurting trans people when we do this.
Yeah. They're just adrift in our fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Um, so uh and I'm not completely immune to it. It's kind of scary to say like what you actually think sometimes because if people do get upset or offended, and oftentimes not even trans people, you'll just get cis people that are offended on their behalf, uh, and just want like wish bad things to happen to you or try to make bad things happen to you for saying it. But I think that there's some good value in for me in me just kind of saying what I think is actually happening, and people don't want to talk about.
There's also an issue of um an internal dilemma between your ideals and your feelings that I think happens a lot in these types of conversations. Because even though we have certain ideals, we still so like in this case, like everybody is a little transphobic because we all kind of have some enmeshment with the culture. So something that I was thinking about a second ago regarding like when you said your kid in the clothing,
Yeah.
um, I am all for like wearing whatever clothes look. I like I said, I own a lot of women's clothes and I wear them, but so what I would tell my kid in that situation is I would say, well, whatever looks good, right? So who cares what the assigned like the letter on the on the number on the back if it says an F or an M. It does it look good on you or not? Um, and oh, I'm so progressive, or I'm so woke. Except I know though in the back of my head, what I think looks good is informed by the culture and the expectations. So um, like I don't think that. I look so good in dresses because I don't have a woman's body. Like, I will, like, I can try to pull off a dress in a certain way. It would have to be, like, a certain length to make my legs look a certain way, but I know that it's, like, it's trying to make me look more like a woman, or maybe clash some, maybe certain types of clashing. You know what I mean when I say that? Like, clashing masculine and feminine expectation types of things. Um,
Sure. Kind of
like, you
makes
know,
it
like,
stand out.
yeah, like a kilt.
Oh,
To
sure.
like an to an American, that's kind of like a clashing in your head. But like the most extreme example would be like a drag queen with a beard. It's like, okay, well, like, what are you trying to be, a woman or a man? Like, it's clashing, but they're doing that on purpose. Um, and yeah, I just know that my what I think looks good isn't pure, and I
Mm.
know that, so it's a conflict. So I'm afraid to say, well, whatever looks good, because that's a lie. Because what I think looks good isn't pure. It's not separated from my expectations entirely.
That's tough for me because big surprise, I have very little understanding. I think I have like a really strong internal rejection of our ideas about fashion, anyways, because I really just think that somebody acted like they knew what they were talking about a long time ago, and they made up a bunch of rules, and people liked them or respected them, so they rolled with it. And people who have done the same thing just been kind of tweaking it, and we've been rolling along ever since. It's the only way I can make any sense of this. Um, I tried to do some like research on it, and I have like if I'm going out, I can dress myself a little bit better now. But it's just sort of me saying like, okay, I guess I'll just follow these rules that I read online. I just
Mhm.
really have a hard time grasping these rules of aesthetics because there's nothing like tangible or like mechanical for me to grasp onto, and it's just so abstract and unintuitive to me that I just think that the way I approach things is just unfit for this category.
Ironically, I think it's actually supposed to be intuitive. Like, it's an intuitive it because it's being creative, being artistic or whatever is, like, more intuitive thinking than it is structured, disciplined thinking often. So,
Interesting. I'm doomed.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. I remember I matched one time by mistake, and my buddy pointed out. He goes, "Oh my God, your clothes are matching." I was like, "Oh, I guess they are." He goes, "You didn't do that on purpose, did you?" I said, "No, I
Well
had no idea."
no, he isn't you're not supposed to match. And anyway, Anyway, so something I held off saying a little bit ago to get like really back on track because we're
Yeah.
like, drifting into fashion. I think that when we say transgenderism, that word seems heavy because I think it is the poignant word to identify a movement. Like, it's not just like gender dysphoria, um, and like science. It's like a movement, and like it's like a religious movement. That's what I think.
Um, I can say, uh, as somebody who grew up, I constantly challenged religious people all the time, and I had some pretty severe consequences from doing it in the wrong spaces. Um, Definitely had some issues with different schools that I was in because I wasn't Christian and I wasn't like quiet about it or quiet about expressing my other religious ideas that I had at various points in my life. And it does seem like there's a similar type of pushback. Um,
It's even worse
like the
because
asking is wrong.
the asking what?
Like if I ask questions, if when I'm
Yeah.
asking questions about religion, if there's a detection that I don't already agree with you,
Yes.
I might be a
Yes.
problem. So they'll proceed, but there's a cautious and not defensive, like offensive way of proceeding. There's an aggression that's very
Yeah.
different
And like the
than
most
any other kind of conversation I'd have with somebody.
people will see like a compassionate, like, if someone on the other side of that might see a compassionate way to address you as trying to be as convincing as possible, because we need to make sure that you believe the right thing, or else you're like wrong and evil. But it's worse than just a religion, because you can at least admit and say that a religion is a religion.
Yeah.
This one is, you can't say that it is. You can't, you can't refer to gender ideology, because then people are like, what are you talking about? You're one of those. You're one of them. You're like, no, like, it is, and it is not. It is a an ideology with certain values and goals, and they value transitioning people, and they value gender very highly, and they value it's impossible for them to get rid of gender, because transitioning is entirely dependent on gender being real, which it isn't real.
I don't think it is either. So, I don't know if I've ever had this conversation with you, but I just say I'm non-binary. It seems like a lot of other non-binary people don't have the same thoughts as I do. But basically, for me, it's like, don't put any of your gender shit on me at all. Like, it's fine if you want to perform and experience gender, but I don't. I just don't think it makes any
Yeah.
sense to how I approach anything. And it makes me really uncomfortable to have any of my actions or like my motivations put into this box. I understand some things are going to be dictated by my sex,
Yeah,
and that's
it
fine.
is it is real because other people make it real, but it's not an it's not an empirical or scientific fact. It's just a cultural real. It's real like Christianity is real. Gender is just as real as Christianity is real. They are both the same type of a noun. They represent an idea. Um,
Yeah,
it's not real like my hand is real.
sure. I think I agree with that. Um, the the weird thing is that sometimes when I say that I'm non-binary and I explain it, um, some people, cis and trans, will think that I'm trying to say that I identify as trans, and I just always think like, no, I didn't transition from anything. I think that I never had a gender. I think that like gender was never a thing that I really participated in. The closest thing to it was me not wanting to get my hair cut. So like I don't have any interest in like looking more effeminate or looking more masculine. I don't care. I just am who I am.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean?
It's just it's too perfect. I like it's just that sounds. I think it's. I mean, you might be. You might be. You might be right, but it can't. Like, it sounds impossible.
So I'll say this: I never realized that the way that I've lived my life and thought about gender was as weird as it is until recently. Because I really thought when I was a kid and didn't really have any like frame of reference, really thought that it was the best I could compare it to was like a game that people played and they were just like into it. But I guess I always butted heads with all the adults in my life anyways. Like I would always argue with people and they'd say things that didn't make any sense. But I was like a really, really logical kid and people want to treat kids like they're morons all the time and just say stuff. So I was always arguing with adults anyways, and it just seemed like another one of these things that they would say that like they couldn't back it up when like a 10-year-old challenged them.
Okay, I still don't believe you. Okay,
That's fine.
it's no. I want to go into this. Okay,
Okay.
so race, like, so you're Asian, okay, and for a moment, and you can say that race isn't real, and that's pretty much true. Um, it's not real in any way that we consider it real, but it's just people look different, and just like people that are different sexes look different, and everybody sees that you're Asian, and everybody treats you like you're Asian, and even though that really doesn't mean much, or shouldn't, it might mean like they're all of their expectations based on statistics and all of their previous experiences with Asian people are now like they that is all brought to the table when they look at you. So when people look at you and you don't look feminine, you look like a man. So I assume people when they look at you and when the way they treat you is like a man. So I don't believe you that you don't feel it because everybody else is treating you that way all the time. It's inevitable.
Oh, I mean internally. Like I don't feel like I have like a man's experience. Like I cry pretty often. When I don't cry, it's just because I don't want people to engage with me about my feelings. When I resist it, I have no problem. Like I have, I guess the silliest example I can think of is like when I watch like Nurse Jackie. I it's like a fairly feminine show, and I think that I have like a lot more femininity when I'm watching it. I think I just experience masculinity and femininity both regularly, and I just think that most people do, and they just suppress the one that they don't want.
Sure. I can relate to not having much. Yeah, I don't ever think I ever really had a real internal sense of gender. And I don't really. I honestly, I don't think that that's real for anyone. I don't believe that that's real for anyone. I think that that's bullshit. I don't think there is such thing as an internal sense of gender. I think that we have the way other people treat us impacts how we feel about ourselves. And that is what I think gender. I don't think it's like I don't think you have some magical gender part of your brain. I think that you have everybody's telling you um like Elder Drazi, open the pickle jar for me. You're a man. You got you got knuckle tattoos. You're a man, you know? So, like
Sure. I think
that's
whenever something like that happens to me, it always feels like I'm playing a part, and sometimes it's fun
mhm.
because it feels a little bit silly to me whenever I hear something like that. And but other times it's not. I think it has to do with the level of trust that I have with the person. And like I don't give a shit about pronouns. I have a really feminine voice, so people call me she on the phone. I don't really care to correct them. I just usually like I look like a guy, so I don't mind that people treat me like a guy for the most up until they have like they're starting to put expectations or like trying to limit what I can or can't do. Then it's just like
Right.
this is so weird to me. Uh,
For some people, it really bothers them.
Yeah, I know. And I
Yeah.
think I'm pretty empathetic to people like that too. I had a coworker who always, when people would refer to them, they would say she to me. And he's just a regular cis guy, and it really bothers him. Because I had to ask one time, I was like, dude, does it bother you? Like when people come in and ask, like, well, I spoke to the woman on the phone, or I talked to the young lady that worked here, but last time I was here. And I was like, oh, I know who you mean. Uh, and then I just say his name, and it's like a very obviously guy name. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "You don't have to apologize to me, but like, maybe if you see him." Uh, so like, I'm empathetic towards like that he really doesn't like that.
He
Like,
doesn't like people calling him a man?
no, they don't like people calling him a woman because they assume that he's a woman a lot, which I don't
Okay,
see, but it
got it.
seems like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's probably just because I know him. If I didn't know him, maybe I'd see what other people saw a little bit better.
I've only felt uncomfortable being misgendered because okay, actually, there's a couple ways I felt uncomfortable being misgendered. I can remember I used to have very long hair. It wasn't really that great of a look, um, for me. Um, like, looking back at my old photos, once I cut it and a little bit shorter, it was a massive glow up. Anyway, like, sometimes, like, from behind, someone might, like, refer to me as a she, and when I was, like, in high school age, sometimes that, like, excited me, like, sexually.
Hmm, I
But
see.
most of the time, it was, like, it made me afraid because like in high school we're more like chimpanzees, and the social dynamics are more like chimpanzees. It's like, who's making eye contact with me? If you're making eye contact with me, I need to fucking punch you in the face because I need power. You know, like it's such like little fucking pieces of shit. And someone like calling you a she, are they doing it on purpose? Are they trying to belittle me? Because being a woman's bad, or is it a mistake? And are they going to be embarrassed and then take it out on me? Or but it always has to do with other people. It wasn't like I cared. Um,
Yeah, it bothers me when somebody, if somebody does that, uh, with the intention of like making me feel bad, I get upset because they're trying to make me feel bad. Like that they're
that
trying to make me feel inferior. That's the thing that
I
bothers me.
I actually don't. Well, I may have when I was a teenager. I don't have a memory of this, but it actually I have a memory of this happening to me like a year ago at a burrito place, and the Hispanic guy that's didn't even speak good English. He's from a different culture, but he misgendered me, and I had to like, this wasn't even femboy Smith. It was just me, and I think I was like wearing this hat. It's like, this is a woman's hat. It says hustle and pray. It's kind of like pink. And it might have had like a pink shirt or something. Um, and he called me a she, and and he had like this little shit eating like grin, and I was like, I didn't care one bit because like he has got no. You're making my burrito. I don't care. I mean, I feel confident about how I look. I feel like you look like an ass. I don't really get. It's like you just look dumb. It doesn't really bother me. Um, but and I know he did it on purpose. I think it might bother me more if I was more insecure. And I think that a lot of trans people don't have a lot of acceptance in their lives, especially growing up. I
Sure.
mean, there's a lot of ways to develop dysphoria, but I think that if people don't accept you for who you are, and you are so enmeshed and so fixated on what other people think of you, and you hate who you are and you're not good enough for anybody. Well, what's the way to escape that is to be someone else. And every single ad that we see, if you have an Instagram account, you see all these beautiful women that look so happy and glamorous, and everything's perfect for them in their magical fake Instagram world. Um, every ad on TV, oh, girl power, everything's great, and yeah, and then for women, young girls, there's another horror of being treated like a, once you start growing breasts and hips and you start getting treated different, and that's its own horror, and you're not going to want to be part of that. And in the same way, if you don't feel accepted, you want to escape that, and it's so much more appealing to be a man.
Yeah, I think that definitely has to do with it, a lot to do with it for a lot of people. One of the things that really opened my eyes to like what's really happening here is I seen actually in the chat, Will in his channel was arguing with somebody, and he said less than 1% of trans people have gender dysphoria, and the response to it was one of the best gifs that I've ever seen. It was like an anime gif, and somebody said source, and this big power blast said, "I just fucking made it up." And I laughed really hard. And I was like, "There's no way this can be true." And I looked it up. It happens to be that almost every single trans person doesn't have gender dysphoria.
What does that mean?
Means that there's
Like,
two different things happening.
how do they measure that?
I would have to assume that it has a lot to do with self-reporting, some kind of investigations. Because I looked it up, and I didn't
Is
see. So like, if I look something up and like the thing seems sketchy, like I'm gonna call the person on and be like, all right, well, this doesn't seem right.
Well, it
Because
seems like the type of study that, say you're doing a study and that becomes your conclusion, in your abstract, then everybody involved, all the trans people involved in your study are going to be really pissed at you, and they're going to like, tweet about it, which happens. And then some of those studies get removed. But that being said, I don't like relying on the self-reporting, in the way that we interpret it for saying, for instance, saying that trans people are happy when they transition because they said they are. Um, and
well, if
I
you don't have
also
gender
have,
dysphoria, I
wait,
imagine maybe you
but
wouldn't.
I'm also, because I'm not looking at the study. I don't know how it was conducted and stuff. I'm skeptical. If that really is, if that's interpreted as because people said that, it doesn't sound like something trans people would say.
Well, it said it's from the two most recent surveys surveying trans people. So even if the survey was done poorly,
Interesting.
and like the number is so huge that like it can't be like even if
Well,
we'd
it
say the
depends what
number
the
was actually
question
10
is.
times as much, we would still be like the overwhelming vast majority. We'd still be in that camp.
Will, do you happen to know if the questions were like, because I would assume this is the case, that the questions were like, are like questions asking trans people how they feel about gender, and then like through like 50 questions or whatever, it compiles to say like that all that equates to you not having gender dysphoria, like, or is it just them asking trans people, do you have gender dysphoria or something like that, and then what is their metric for non-gender dysphoria? Because then the trans person could argue that what they are defining as gender dysphoria does not work. So whatever questions they have that lead to us believing they don't have gender dysphoria, is inaccurate, because it actually should be,
He said it's
you
the
guys should have
second one he
different.
said.
They just asked trans people if they have dysphoria.
Yeah.
Wow, and they said no.
Yeah. So what I say is even if the number's like a lot off, we're still dealing with like a massive, it means that most people that are trans don't experience any dysphoria. And it drives me insane that we're grouping two different phenomena into the same category with like almost no distinction ever in our rhetoric. And I think
Hmm.
it's really, really important because if you don't have gender dysphoria and you just want to socially transition and you want to do the things that you want to do, that's awesome. I don't think that you need as much of a leg up. I don't think you need as much help and consideration as the people that are experiencing gender dysphoria is. And I think that we're throwing them under the bus by grouping them in with the same category of people. Uh,
Yeah, well, when I think of a or someone who's trans, some transgenderism, I think of, to be trans, you are somebody who has gender dysphoria, because gender dysphoria
yes.
is the mental disorder that makes you want to change your body. So if you don't have the mental disorder, you just want to change your body. That, like, I mean, I want to be buff or whatever. I mean, I'm fine with how I am, but I want to lose 15 pounds. That's not so extreme, but like, um,
Yeah, so you
maybe
see the
five.
problem. And I think both things are happening for sure, but the implications of uh, the one thing and the implications of the other thing are vastly different. I think how much time, money, and energy we're putting towards one and the other is different because these are very different things. Um, and it and from the people that I have known, I've known people that have no gender dysphoria and identify as trans, and people that do. And it seems to me that people that have gender dysphoria care way, way more about their own personal perception of themselves to a huge degree, and the people that don't have gender dysphoria are more concerned with other people's perceptions of them.
Well, I think, well, like I already said, I think that there is no real. I think to have gender dysphoria, you have to actually believe gender is real.
Yeah, I would say gender dysphoria seems to be that you uh, have a mental disorder which gives you great distress that you are the sex that you are, that you're not the other
Okay,
sex.
okay, but yeah, okay, so that would be different then. So so this question, I'm googling it. I can't find it, but so because for the audience and for myself, I want to be sure, but if it is, it could be that like wanting to change your sex and wanting to change your gender are two different things.
Well, I think
But
you can
most,
only change your gender,
most,
you can't change your
hold on,
sex.
sure, but gender isn't real. But I like, so this is my theory of gender. I've thought very pretty hard about this. I haven't said it in a while, but it is, I believe that gender refers to secondary sex characteristics or even third place sex characteristics. So secondary sex characteristics meaning like um hips, like meaning your voice, your pitch of your voice, um breasts or whatever. These are these are indicators at what sex you are. So gender refers to those, and also the third separation of sex characteristics, which is the role that your sex has in society. So, um, so people who are female in some societies might like pink, and that would be like further withdrawn from being a secondary sex characteristic, but it's an indicator within that culture of what sex you are. So I believe that gender, it refers to the indicators of what sex you are, because we can't actually scan you um, and determine like what your DNA is. Like technically there are intersex people, and like maybe like you some intersex. I mean, it's rare. Like I don't. I hate the scapegoating of the intersex in these conversations. But
Yeah.
um, just to go there, like even if someone has like a penis and balls, like they might have like some weird set of chromosomes or whatever. So they're not like technically male or female exactly. Um, I would define it by how your sexual functionality. So if you can impregnate somebody with your cum, then you're a male. And if you have eggs, and you can become so. And regardless, I believe that gender's indicator of your sex. That's the only reasonable indicator that we have. And so when you want to change your gender, you want to indicate that you are the other sex.
Yeah.
And some transgender people don't want to indicate that they don't. It's very weird. It's very weird. I'm not right when I say that they don't want to indicate that they are the other sex. They want to adopt some gender indicators of sex, um, but they don't want to adopt all of them. Like some transgender people don't want to take hormones or anything, but they want to like. And this is less common, but they'll like wear dresses, and like change their hair and makeup, but they want to change their body all. Um, I I get the impression that those people just want to be different from other people.
I don't think I have a
The- be-
strong
uh,
opinion on that.
Either they want to be different from other people, or they want to be different from themselves.
Um, yeah, that's probably that's probably where I would land. Um, I think part of this all is really strange to me because I think it must have been like 12 when my mother explained to me what transgenderism was, and I was just like, yeah, okay. So she just explained. She just said like something to the effect of there's some people uh, that are. She said there's some people that are born to the wrong body, and I just understood what she meant uh, by it. And then you just treat them the way they want to be treated. And I still think that even if you take the most extreme meme, if somebody says I'm an attack helicopter, like I think that if it's really important to them, and you can tell it's important to them, and you don't just say it, I think you're probably being a dick. Um, Although I would think first off, this person probably has some kind of neuroatypicality going on, and I'm not going to make it any worse by fighting with them about this. This is something that is not something I would generally hear. So if somebody says that to me and they have the confidence to tell this to me, I'm probably just going to go along with it. And if it really bothers me, I'm just not going to engage with them. But I'm not going to disengage rudely.
Right.
And some
Um,
people have such a fucking hard time with that. Uh, it's like I don't want to do it, and I also think that people shouldn't ask me to. Like, that's where you're crossing the line for me. People can ask you whatever they want. You have the right to say no and fuck off.
yeah, the difference is some people really want to change like the definition of woman to include them, or definition of man to include them. And they want to they don't want you to just treat them the way they want to be treated. They want to change everything so that they are what they want to be treated like.
Yeah,
Um,
it makes
and
me
I
curious as
would
to what their
say,
goal is, really.
well, I think that they were not born in the wrong body. I think that they were born in the wrong society. They were born in the wrong timeline or whatever. Because, like, I don't think you're born to hate yourself or have any type of identity at all. You're just born a blank slate. You're not born thinking I'm a man. You know, you're born like goo goo gaga, and then your mommy says you're a man or whatever. Yeah.
Right. I think so. This is probably one of the things that I'm gonna say that might make some people upset, even though I don't think it should. I think that when we started just saying like trans women are women is when I think that whole like the movement of pushing that hurt trans people way more than it helped them.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the best way that I can explain why some people non-maliciously have an issue with this is that let's say I knew you, like I know just like I know you right now, and a year from now you transition, and who cares what the name is? You can pick your new name, and when I see you, my brain is always going to go first. That's Smeth. Smeth isn't a guy anymore. I like we call Smeth this now. My brain, people act like when someone transitions that their brain is immediately going to recognize the person that they knew as female that they always were, and that this
I
has
don't
always been
think
their name. That's how they act, though.
I don't think it's reasonable to ask you to to change your brain's interpretation of them, and like no, like because they aren't female, and for them to expect you to now perceive you as female, like even if it takes you time, like what am I supposed like it's like it reminds me of the episode of Star Trek where Picard is being tortured and gaslit, and the captor is saying how many lights are there. I forget how many the number is, but there are like three lights, and the guy says there's four, and when Picard says there's three lights, he's like wrong, zaps him, and there are four lights. How many lights are there? And Picard just abstinently says there are three lights, and it's like they're forcing you to say like there no like you want me to like to just confuse me and like fuck up my brain. You're not actually that. Like I'll treat you the way you want to be treated, but you can't make me like change my like ability to engage with reality, you know?
Sure. Um, I agree. This is I think that people have an issue with this non-maliciously because there are some logistical problems that trans people and people in the transgender movement say that people can't accept because it requires them to deny something which they hold to be true. And this is a far cry from whether or not you're going to be like have good etiquette around them. The problem isn't saying like I would prefer it if you called me this now, if you could refer to me as a woman.
Hmm.
This is, I think, this should always be on the table for anybody who wishes to engage with people politely. If you're not going to do that, then you need to understand that you are being aggressive towards somebody. You're hurting them, knowing that you're hurting them, and it's shitty. However, there's a difference between that and saying, "I need you to tell me that you know that I am this."
It's like a religion, okay? Because it's like if you're talking, this is, we all understand that this is unacceptable when, and it pisses us off rightfully when somebody comes up to you with a Bible or whatever, and they're like, you like they're trying to like convince you that um I don't know,
Like
like
to
what's
convert.
something. Yeah, but like basically because they're like in order to make the trans person happy, you literally have to convert your actual thinking to their thinking. Um, and their thinking is based on either dysphoria or just a desire, but it's not based on any empirical reality. So it's like they're telling you that you have to believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins, and if you don't believe that, then there's something wrong with you. And it's like, well, what, like, you're a blasphemy, you're evil. um it functions exactly like a religion in that way.
Yeah, I think that there's bullies on both sides. I think there's a big difference when somebody's trying to talk to you about religion. You're going like, well, like I don't believe in that. I'm atheist, I'm agnostic, I'm this other religion. And the difference between that and going like, well, Jesus isn't real, right? Is tremendous. So like when I was younger, I used to just argue with people. I would get a kick out of pissing off religious people by pointing out like some of the glaring fallacies with their belief system. And as I got older, I realized like I'm kind of being the asshole here. I
No,
can
that's not what I'm
just
saying. Wait. I'm not saying, but pointing out the things that you disagree, like the thing, like you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this. Like that. It's a dick to you're a dick to go up to like a religious person and I mean, unless I mean, you can be a dick, but you're being aggressive and you're aggressing upon them to tell them that they're wrong. Um, but
yes.
but what I'm saying is that they are offended. Like it's in the world that we live in like the first world countries, modern society, we see it as unacceptable and offensive for a religious person to go up to you and tell you that you have to think that Jesus Christ died for your sins, and if you don't think that, be like that you should be ostracized, if as if there's something wrong with you. No, like there's nothing wrong with me for not agreeing with you. Like I don't have to believe in your religion to respect you. I don't have to. It's so that like that's how it would have functioned, like that's how it functions in a religious extremist country or like back in the day. um and that's
Yeah, I wasn't saying
not
you
the
did
world I
this
want
or
to
were
live in.
suggesting this either. I think I was just more or less trying to put what you're saying into my words. I was trying to like steel man what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but you do, but what you're saying is different because you don't have to argue with trans people. Like it might even be like mean or like cruel to argue with them, but if you don't agree with them, then for them to now argue with you as if you're wrong is also
That's what I mean.
egregious.
There's bullies on both sides of this issue. I
Right,
think
okay, yeah.
that somebody who isn't maliciously misgendering people, isn't trying to harm anybody, but is getting like dogpiled on people just for not sharing the same belief about transgenderism. I think this is bad too, and I think that it's not just bad for the person that it's happening to, but it's bad for trans people. Like the amount of bad actors in this conversation on both sides is hurting their own cause so much. It's unreal.
What
Like
is their cause?
I would say that the people who have strong disagreements with transgenderism. I think that their cause would be to, I guess, I don't know on the
No,
more extreme end of it.
what is the cause of the trans people?
So I guess I'm speaking from the people that I would call rational on both sides here. I haven't given much thought to the extremes of it because I can't honestly know what the goals might be there uh,
I
because it's
think the
out of my
cause is
reach.
I think the cause behind the trans movement is gender as like a an ideology and or like a religious belief that there's like a spiritual gender or some um like or like making you believe like you have a physical gender within your body, or that people can be like the wrong sex, and that the only way to treat this type of discomfort, by threat of suicide, is to like take hormones and change your body. I think that's the cause, and I think that that cause is harmful to trans people. I think that I have a cause that I believe is helpful to trans people. So we both have causes, and I'm not interested in helping their cause, but I'm interested in helping them. Um,
Sure. I just
so,
work. I don't have
but
any issues with hormones.
the thing that I do, but the thing that differentiates transphobia, like so, transphobia being that you hate these people, you're afraid of these people, you're disgusted by these people, you think that they're immoral. That is different from disagreeing with what they're doing and what they believe to be the way to help themselves. Like, because I and help me, because that was me, and I don't agree with what they are saying is the best thing to do. I think that it's based on a religious belief in gender and a religious belief in non-scientific things and a religious interpretation of data where self-reporting is seen as a not a testimony to what people believe but a statement of fact.
So I think I'm pretty okay with hormones and I'm pretty okay with surgery because it doesn't matter what I think. When it comes to whether or not I think other people should or shouldn't be allowed to do something, I always take a certain dose of humility and understand that like it's possible that I'm wrong um, about certain things about this, and I don't think that I should get to dictate what other people do. Uh, I'm really big on not letting my ideas impact the agency of other people.
But you
Even
don't have the power to.
well, I let me put it this way: if somebody's going to make it, the best example I can give of this is I had a friend when I was like 19 who was regularly getting drug tested for weed. And whenever I had weed, it was his, and whenever he had weed, it was mine. And I was smoking with a couple of our other friends, and he asked me if he could hit it, and I said, "Look, I can't. I can't make this decision for you. It's never been the case that my weed wasn't your weed, and vice versa. However, I think it's a bad idea, but I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna like make this decision for you." And he smoked, and he went to jail because he's fucking stupid. But I don't think that it would have been right for me to like say like, nope, sorry, this is mine. I'm not gonna let you have any of my weed because if you smoke it, you're gonna go to jail. I don't think that even if I strongly disagree with somebody, it's not my job to save people from themselves. I think it's okay for me to save people from other people, but not from themselves.
Okay, I am not sure. I think on a given day I might fall on a different side of what you're saying. That's the feeling I'm getting.
Sure.
Of if I would give the weed or not. Um, but I don't think that that's a perfect analogy because the way or at least for the how I feel, I want to be a participant in the marketplace of ideas, and I'm not in a position to legislate. Like if I was the emperor of the world, and I could snap my fingers and make it so that surgeries and hormones were illegal, um, I would have so much more responsibility to I'm I to like the sure like what if I'm wrong? Because I believe what I believe. And I think that it stands to reason, but there has to be more hesitation when you have that responsibility. But I don't think that I have that responsibility when I'm trying to engage in the marketplace of ideas. I think that acting as if I do have that responsibility is just seeks to silence me and to to amplify voices of my opposition.
Maybe this would clarify my stance on it a little bit better. Um, my kid never expressed any interest in taking hormones, but a little while after they told me that they were trans, I said, if this is something you're interested in, uh, the only my my only condition is that you have to see a therapist and you have to go for no less than minimum of 6 months. And I will be heavily involved with the therapist and talking to them and making sure that you fully understand this and that the therapist knows that you fully understand it and the ramifications of it. There is if the therapist agrees and I think that everything's on the up and up, then I won't have an issue. But this is a requirement for me because this is a situation where I do have to impose my will on the agency of a person, which
Mhm.
is kind of the only time I really find myself in this situation where what I think matters more than what the other person thinks is when it's my kid. So I think that most of the time, uh, when people advocate for people taking hormones, it's just like if you want it, then you should have it. I think that you need to have somebody. I think that therapy is a really good idea because I think that you need somebody there to make sure that you really understand this. Because
I don't think that I think that if you have dysphoria, you don't understand it, like definitionally. So I don't think that trans people should be getting like the thing like the hormones and the surgeries.
it
Um
wouldn't change your mind if there was a requirement to have therapy first.
it would make me more comfortable, but um
And even if
and
I
I think I
wanted it, I would
look
make
here's
myself go to therapy too.
there's a dilemma here. There's a especially for youth, there's a massive dilemma. So what I want to say is that you should have to go to therapy for like 2 years
Sure.
minimum. Okay? Uh and even maybe 3 years, 2 to 3. But there's this dilemma for trans people because there's this also like I think that that is right.
Box ticket.
Like if it's if you have to resolve these issues, it's gonna take more than 6 months. That's just insane. That's way too little of amount of
Well,
time.
I said
And
minimum.
you know, if you're capable of resolving these issues, and there's I think that it's probably possible for a lot of people if they go at it for longer than 6 months, like a couple years. But uh, it, but and that's not even a guarantee or anything. I think they would have to change their life, and if they're a kid, they don't have the ability to really change their life too. So maybe it's a moot point. Um, but if you transition earlier, you're going to pass better.
Yeah.
So got to push it through. And then once you're older, once you're like you start you hold it off, or you don't start thinking about it until you're 24. Now it's like, well, I better start now. And now they're not going to force me to go to therapy because I have informed consent. So I'm not fucking waiting a moment because I want to change my body, and I know that it's gonna look better if I do it sooner. So like like there's just this pressure to just ignore any type of like mental part. Like if you want to transition, going to therapy is your enemy because it's going to make you look worse when you come out the other end because it's going to make it take longer. So baked into the problem here is a pressure to avoid therapy as a part of it of the solution.
I guess in that respect, I'd just say too bad. Um, because I still remember quite well being a kid, and I have a kid. I understand the idea or how a new idea can just blind you to everything that might not be good about it, even as an adult. But I also think that, like you said, in the 24-year-old scenario, I think what the fuck is the point of being an adult if I can't do what I want to do if it just involves myself? Like is life just always going to be me having like a bunch of like series of rules that I have to follow even if I'm not hurting anybody? Fuck this. Like this is my reward for going to school and
Yeah.
listening to my parents. Like, this is my life
Okay.
now.
Okay. But at the very least, if you want to do what you want to do, it should not be like publicly fundedly available. Like you should have to be paying for it. Like if you just wanna take hormones, then like you should pay for it. And I don't even like that attitude because that attitude creates a haves and haves not situation between different social classes. But I just don't think that we deserve to be able to take these things. I don't it's like if you want to get a tattoo, do you deserve to get that so that society should provide you with a tattoo? No. Like that's how I feel. So
I don't think I believe in deserves. I express this a lot in my personal life. I don't believe in somebody deserving or not deserving something. I think
I do.
most of the time these things just are happenstance, what's available, what consequences happened, like things that have occurred. I don't.
You don't think that you think people deserve basic rights. You know you think people right. I'm forgive me if I'm being brazen. Of
So
course you believe people deserve food and shelter.
so when it comes to rights, I think that you either have unlimited rights or you have no rights at all.
Hmm.
Because the idea that you have a right implies that somebody's giving it to you. It's being granted to you. And if it's being granted to you, that means it can be taken away. And right's not a right if somebody can take it away from you. So if rights truly exist, then you have the right to do whatever you want. And if somebody doesn't like that, they have the right to react in whatever way they want.
Um, I don't agree with that
How would that work? What right do I have to anything if you can choose that? Like who's granting the rights to me?
because Elder Drazi, because we live in a society. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like I think like you were bought into for I think for the better of everybody. Giving up and getting certain rights. And when my idea of deserving comes through, it's like what is the bare minimum that everybody should be granted within a given society that we should be able to give everybody. I think if people don't have food and shelter, we're failing as a society. Those people, there we're failing those people as a society. That's what I think.
Sure. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think that I would word it more like this. I think that we have a duty to look out for each other.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't have the right to be looked out for,
I think you
or
do.
or yeah. I just think I think of things in terms of duties, not in terms of rights, because
Well, you
by
don't. You
duty
of
I'm
course.
compelled to do the correct thing. Um, but if I have the right to something, I just I can't get past the idea that rights are granted, and like it feels like a self-defeating ideology because a right has to be granted, which means somebody is there to be able to take it away. But definitionally, a right is something that can't be taken away from you.
Or like a privilege.
Yeah, we might have privileges,
Right. Okay.
um,
So
in which
I
case
think people
somebody
should be
holds the key.
we should be privileged to food and shelter. And I don't think we should be privileged to changing changing your like hormones and but like if you are already taking hormones, uh I don't think anybody should take it away from you. Like now you are in my world. If I was the king and I was gonna do whatever the fuck I wanted, and I was gonna not even, I was just gonna do without being responsible. Um, then I by no in no world would I just take away people's hormones. Like once you're on some kind of drug or something, and that's your life, like that. I'm not gonna like to take it away. Taking away somebody's hormones is just as bad as giving them hormones in the first place, in my mind. It's a total destabilization of their life. It depends how long. Maybe if they've been on it for 3 months, take it away. But like, but if they've been on it for like 4 years, like that is your life now. I'm not. I don't want to have. I don't want to have blood on my hands or fucking your life up again. So like you're gonna be miserable if I like. There's no good that's gonna come out of that now. That's how I feel. I also something in the back of my mind. This is something really weird. This is if I transitioned, I would have wished that I mean I guess I already said this, but I really will have wished that I did it. If I have transitioned, I will have wanted it to be when I was like 11 years old. Uh like more than anything. Uh and I just think that we all have wants. This is something I believe. Tell me if you want to interrupt me because I'm like, but we all have wants. Um, and I mean that in more than a stupid way. I am very permissive of my desires and my dark desires. I don't want to repress them. So I will watch like revenge porn, like I really enjoy like some people like hate watching violence and stuff. I like when you watch somebody on a video of somebody like taunting somebody and then they get their ass whooped. Oh man, part of me is like, oh, I just a sick part of me enjoys that. And I'm like, and the part of me that enjoys that wishes that I could get that revenge on that person because, and I don't feel guilty for having that feeling. I don't want to feel guilty for that, but also I don't want to do it. And I want people to stop me. I don't want me to be allowed to enact my revenge like that. I want people to stop me, you know? So I just like that, I would want people to stop me from taking the hormones.
Um, so this is the I think that even if I felt that way for myself personally, I would also know that I would never want to open the door to other people making my decisions for me. There is nothing that I value more in life, nothing, than my own bodily autonomy. I think that all of my moral ideas and my moral principles extend from the idea that I have the right to my own bodily autonomy. I think that things can get murky when it's outside of that, but I think that nobody has the right to force me to physically do anything that I don't want to do.
Okay, that's
And
a
if they
fair.
do, I have the right to defend my autonomy up to death.
Sure. We disagree. But I agree with your want to fight defend your autonomy. Like I've already said, like I feel exactly the same. But I want someone to stop me. Like if I ever wanted to kill myself, I really want people to stop me. Like please stop me. And I want to
Same.
stop other people. I do not I want I want I don't think people should. I don't. In my world, people cannot kill themselves. If you want to kill yourself, you're fucking out of luck, buddy. Okay. I don't even care how miserable you are. I'm not gonna give up on you and let you kill yourself. And I think that's gonna cause damage to everyone in all of society, and just not allowed to do it. And not in my world.
Well, that
Uh,
actually lines up with mine too, because I would say in this point, you're the one who's threatening your autonomy. If you die, your autonomy's done. It's over.
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
um.
When I say nobody has the right
Oh
to
well.
make me do something that I don't want to do, if I try to kill myself, I am preventing myself from ever doing anything I want to do again, and therefore it is completely permissible for somebody to stop me. This is the
You've
one weird paradoxical point where I side with physically stopping me
you have
because
no. It's not one point because you stepped on a slippery slope, buddy. Okay, because if you think that people should stop you from removing your own autonomy,
Mhm.
okay, well, death is the biggest removal of autonomy. But I could certainly construct an argument for why taking hormones is going to remove your autonomy, or why getting a tattoo, I wouldn't like the argument therefore, but why getting a tattoo would remove your autonomy. Like say
I would have a
I
different
just
autonomy in those situations, but I would still have autonomy. When you die,
oh,
you have
yeah.
none.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. So I don't like this argument, but here's the argument against you. Okay, it's tough. So you're in Japan, and people hate tattoos in Japan. Um,
Sure.
a lot of places you're not allowed to go swimming if you have tattoos because people will see them. They just have a culture where tattoos are associated with crime and stuff. You have to hide them. Um, and you want to get a tattoo, and you will be able to exert your autonomy by getting said tattoo. It will empower your autonomy in that way, but at large, it will remove your autonomy within that society. Um, I think that you should change society. You shouldn't change the people. It. We should change society to accept people. Just like I think we should change society to accept trans people without them changing themselves. I think that we should change society to accept people with tattoos without them changing themselves. I don't think that. I guess there's an inconsistency there. Like I don't think tattoos are good, but I don't think it's
Oh shit.
that. I don't think it's that harmful. It's it's just ink.
It's all right. I have to verbally respond to my chat because I can't type in my own YouTube chat for some reason.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
what I was saying, I don't think of it as an exception to my rule. When I say that you can stop me from killing myself, it just feels like an exception, and my explaining it as an exception explains why I don't think of it as one. That's all. I was responding to somebody in my chat, but I'm not allowed to type in my YouTube chat.
You're banned.
I guess. I don't think Cat Dog Bark would ban me from my own chat. He's pretty anti-banning, and he's my only mod.
Some fucker in my chat just said Smeth accidentally made a good point.
Oh. The chat is down.
um,
Okay, it's back.
People should accept people who transition. Yes, of course. Of course, I think people should accept people who transition. I absolutely agree. But I don't think we should we should accept suicidal people. That doesn't mean we should let them commit suicide. Um, and if you attempt to commit suicide, I'm not going to abandon you. Like you're like, I don't want to but I accept you as like, you're not any lesser for having tried to kill yourself. Um, you're still part of my family, of my human family. You're
Yes,
part of
because
you're part of my United States of America. Uh, my chat is up, but there's no guarantee I'm gonna read it.
um so one of the things uh that I find interesting is that you have like the verbatim Mr. Grill take of
Do I?
this isn't how we treat any other mental
Oh yeah,
illness. So
yeah.
why
I
is it
got that
different
from
with
him.
this
I
one?
got that from him.
Yeah. So my counter to that is that there are a lot of different things that have specific treatments for it. And I don't know why this one being that when it's specifically different in this way, that we put it all on its own in some special category. Like there is no
No,
other
no, no.
disease aside from okay, so like because the I thought the methadone argument was pretty good because there's nothing else that we give somebody like something that would in every other case be like an insane thing to do is to give somebody methadone where they would be addicted to it and they'd have to get it every day in the way that people who take methadone do. But we don't say that this is a bad treatment. We say that this is a really difficult situation and we're going to do something that would otherwise be unorthodox because it has effective outcomes that we're seeking.
Are you done talking so I can tell you why you're wrong?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm okay. Yeah, that doesn't work, dude. Like no, like you're talking about the treatments being specific. I'm talking about the interpretation of data. The thing that is different in regards to dysphoria and the data of gender affirming care is that we interpret self-reporting as if it is a testimony of God-given fact, whereas in any other instance of self-reporting we treat it as testimony as to how the patient feels, which does not indicate a fact of what they're actually like. Oh, I'm happier now that I transitioned. Okay, that proves it. No, we don't do that with anything else. We don't do like if we did that with any other um mental disorder where you have a incongruent perception of reality from everyone else.
What about pain?
Um, pain.
Yeah, we rely on self-reporting for pain, and it's actually pretty scary and dangerous for doctors because pain medicine is so dangerous to write that some doctors just completely stop doing it. So if you have severe and chronic pain and you're seeking treatment for it, all they can really rely on is your self-reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what makes it scary for doctors to give people like Vicodin, because
Yeah.
if this person's lying to me, it could be my literally be my fucking license on the line here.
Well,
But
well,
people do get prescribed it, and it's based on self-reporting, and there are
but
dangers.
but those doctors are scared because they know that there is a risk with trusting their self-reporting. Whereas with gender dysphoria and gender affirming care, we do not feel scared or skeptical of their self-reporting. We feel like it's gospel. And anybody that says otherwise is transphobic.
Well, sure. I just thought we were talking about how we go up about treating self-reporting in terms of treatment.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is it yes, that's what I'm talking about too. So the doctors in the case of get prescribing pain meds treat your self-reporting with skepticism, and they don't want to give you I've been in the ER where people are like yelling and the doctors are like this person's lying and they don't give them the pain meds. But they don't if you have that attitude with self-reporting in regards to gender dysphoria, transitioning, gender affirming care, then you are a bigot and you are transphobic. So the skepticism is healthy in regards to pain meds, and that's this type of skepticism that we should have for all self-reporting.
So if it was the case that doctors were in a similar position with hormone replacement therapy or willing to do surgery, how much more comfortable with it would you be?
Um, what do you mean?
So if the doctor's approach and feelings about gender affirming care were identical to how they approach somebody reporting pain, how much more comfortable
Mhm.
would you be with them uh, prescribing or just pursuing
This
gender
is
affirming care with their patients?
this is annoying because it's multifaceted. So there are two things. Um,
It's unintentional.
with
Feel free to break it down.
okay, it's I know, but it's gonna be. I'm gonna fuck it up because I'm gonna get distracted. I'm already distracted.
Sorry.
Okay, no,
Unintentional.
it's not. No, that's not you. Um, it's my brain. Um, the doctor prescribing pain meds is so yeah, like we all agree on pain. It's something we all agree with, and we understand the high pain can like cause you to like
Can
go
ruin
into
your life.
shock. It can make you go into like enough pain you can like pass out. Like it's an empirical thing, and the impact it's going to have on you. It is very empirical, and uh, there is no therapy to get rid of pain. There is only maybe there's hypnosis like temporarily, but that's not really part of this conversation. Like there is either you're gonna not take pain meds and you're gonna live with it. You learn like you get muscle pain or joint pain. You learn some stretches to help over time that might help. But the question we're asking is, do we give them pain meds, which are dangerous and highly addictive, or do we not? And you have to deal with the whimsy and the judgment of some fucking asshole doctor who doesn't know what you're feeling. You have to deal with it, and that sucks. It does suck that you have to deal with that, uh, and you got to advocate for yourself, just like trans people feel like they have to advocate for themselves. And I completely empathize with that desire to advocate for yourself, and but in the case of gender affirming care and the prescription of hormones or surgeries, there is that is not the only it's not that is gender affirming care is not the pain meds where pain meds are the only possible solution. Actually, it's actually I changed my I realized it's actually incredibly it parallels incredibly. So if a doctor prescribes you, so say you have long-term persistent pain that's going to last for your whole life. If a doctor that prescribes you pain meds instead of trying to like there are therapies that might make your pain go away. Um like Mr. Girl standing up every 20 minutes, um, and he's been fixing his back, not talking so that he can fix his fucking voice. Whatever else falls apart, whatever he has to do. Um, Instead, if his doctors just threw morphine or like whatever the fuck, Percocet, or I don't know, whatever the fuck, like opiate pain med, addictive pain med, whatever they throw at him, they would be I would be against that. They shouldn't just throw pain meds at people's problems. So also think that the doctors should not be throwing should not be throwing gender affirming care, treatment, surgeries, hormones at people's problems without doing their due diligence to actually like make their lives better. And in fact, I think that the likelihood of the gender affirming care making their lives worse is pretty high, and it's way higher than with pain meds. The risk of first of all, the risk of being addicted is 100% with hormones, and the risk of detransition, like once you take the hormones, you're addicted. You need to like that's like part of your life. If you're gonna get off, you're gonna have to like wean off or something. Um, and the risk of like detransitioning or that not being happy, and I don't even trust the self-reporting. So I think that there's a lot of risks involved in doing that, and I don't see many positives aside from like covering up something temporarily. um yeah, I just think it's even worse of a choice to give someone gender affirming care than it is to give them pain meds.
Well, they're not going to overdose and die. They get addicted to hormones.
That's true. I mean, it probably could, but
I mean, we have like a real epidemic of the pain meds thing, and I know I took pain meds for several years. I have chronic back pain; it's really bad. I have two different issues with my back. One of them is my discs are breaking down, and I have scoliosis. And I got off them on my own. I actually would take breaks to make sure I wasn't physically dependent on them. I would take less than I was supposed to be taking, and I was
mm,
very super hyper aware because I knew how dangerous that it was. And there's people in my family that have addiction problems with them. So I think that for me, the way to I would recommend a similar approach when there's high concerns. Like if you have, I guess if I was in your shoes, if I had similar feelings to you, I think that my response would be that we need to that it's okay, but it's really important to be very aware of what's happening and be very honest. And I
look, yeah,
understand
okay.
that the problem is that not everybody is going to be honest. Some people just want what they want. And just like most
Yes.
people who take pain medicine didn't have the kind of vigor to be responsible with it like I was.
Not only that, but every single so when you go into the ER and you ask for pain meds because you're in pain, then the doctor has to be like, oh, does this person really want that, or did they just want the drugs? Like, do they actually have the pain, or do they just want the drugs? They do have the pain, but they also just want the drugs, so it's convenient.
Sure.
Okay.
And I have had
It's but in the case of someone wanting gender affirming care, every person that wants gender affirming care is the person that goes into the doctor's office with the predetermined desire, like I need those drugs, I need those pain meds. They're already the addict. They are already the person like with like uh the unreasonable like expectation and demand for said drug and said treatment.
it's sure. So I think the experiences that I've had. So I've had bad teeth, and most recently and most prominently, when I had to have in between my first surgery and second surgery from my vasectomy. My pain was so bad that even though they were giving me high end narcotics, when it wore off, I felt so awkward and ashamed to ask, like, hey, look, it's not working, like it wore off, can I have more please? Because it was like the most intolerable pain I've ever felt in my life. And I felt almost crazy for that too, because like I know that they know that I'm not lying about being in pain, but there was still so much because there's so much stigma around people asking in the hospital for pain meds that it was super embarrassing and awkward for me to ask. And they were just like, yeah. And they even told me before, because I told them it's really weird for me to ask. They're like, look, we can see this. We know that you're not lying to us. We know you're not here for pain meds. Like, we
That
get it. And I'm just
that's
like, yeah,
that's
I know it's just fucking terrible though. Like, I just feel like a really scummy shit, like just like the worst person when I'm telling them that I need more.
that's
And I
why I
wish it wasn't
believe
like that.
that's why I believe that you should always be not repressing your feelings and always be advocating for yourself. But I also like I said, like if I'm not going to repress the fact that I want revenge. I'm not going to repress the fact that I'm in pain. So I think that's bad. But it's the doctor's job or society's job, it's the people around you's job to be able to stop you. So, in the case, so you should feel comfortable saying I'm in pain, and it's the doctor's job to be able to fucking figure. It's not your job to try to make the doctor feel better by not telling him you're in pain. It's his job to hear you say that you're in pain and judge you and be able to know if you're in pain or not. You know?
Yeah, I think I was just terrified of just being seen as like a junkie, despite the fact that like
Right.
everybody knows in the situation I was in that clearly I have
Right.
every reason in the world to be asking for pain meds.
Right. I think that trans people um are completely in the right to advocate for their gender affirming care. It's what they want. It's what they think is right. And I think that it is the doctor's job to say no.
You just want societal boundaries to say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I think that we need to protect people from ourselves and protect other people from ourselves. Like in the case of revenge or like violence or murder or rape or whatever the fuck.
Is there any scenarios in which you're okay with gender affirming care outside of them already being started?
Um, if it's not hormones or if it's not like bodily intervention, I'm against cosmetic surgery. Like I'm against yeah, I think that the solution the solution to being dysphoric or hating your body is to you want to get to a place where you love your body. So that there is no time that I'm okay with it.
Interesting.
But I think so be to but you want to be in a place where you love your body and are comfortable with yourself. Now, there's multiple ways that that can happen. I believe that what you actually want is to love your body and love yourself without changing your body. And I think that if you are given the ability to love your body and love yourself after changing your body, you're actually taking away someone's ability to actually love themselves because now you only love yourselves for how you've changed yourself and for the routines that you go through daily to look a certain way and for all the work that you put in to look different than you do without putting the work in. The goal should be for you to be comfortable with yourself without doing anything. Like you should feel good about yourself. You should feel comfortable in your skin without doing it. Like I
You should,
like
but that's not the reality for most people. And all those things that all the work that you just described could also be said for somebody who is regularly working out. They're managing their diet super well because they want to have the kind of body they want to have. As far as like the emotional toll and the amount of like physical work we're talking about, there's absolutely people who do the same thing with dieting and exercising. They take supplements. They're pumping their body full of a bunch of shit, and this can even turn into like a really crazy thing where people start taking steroids to get bigger too. This can lead to an unhealthy thing as well.
right.
But I think that you probably
If
wouldn't have an issue with somebody aggressively dieting and exercising
actually
despite all this work.
no, I'm fine with diet and exercise, but I think that if you hate yourself and you want to be something else, you want to be someone else, and that is the reason that you diet and exercise. Sure, diet and exercise is always good. Not anorexia. I mean, like healthy diet and exercise is always good. Um, but if you think that it's going to make you suddenly learn to love yourself, you're wrong.
I think it helps.
I think that no, I think it makes it harder.
Oh, bro, when I met my wife, I was like 22 chin-ups per set in shape. I was pretty fond of myself, especially in terms of my body. I really loved my body then. Um,
Yeah, but so okay, so
Not so much
you
anymore.
yeah, but that's the thing. Um, so you put yourself in this position where you have to maintain and constantly work out and constantly diet in order to feel comfortable about yourself. So, and that's always going to go away because you're going to get old and die. You're going to become feeble. You're going to get fat. You're going to get ugly and wrinkly. You're going to become like disabled. You're going to lose your functionality. Your be able ability to think. And so, if you need to be a sexy 22-year-old at your peak fitness in order to love yourself, you are not actually able to love yourself because in the dark moments, in your ugly shit covered moments, that's when true self-love happens.
And I'm not saying that
And
I don't love myself, but I certainly
and
love my body. And loving my body sure helps that journey.
I'm what I'm saying is that if you are taking hormones, you are still not able to love the shit covered ugly version of yourself, and you're just hiding from it. And like so everything that is an issue for you has not gone away.
Sure.
And I think that transitioning on all gender affirming care intervention surgeries objectively make your life worse.
Do you think the only reason that uh, the psychiatric community is having people pursue gender affirming care the way it exists today is because of social pressure? And if that didn't exist, they'd be like,
Yeah.
fuck no, absolutely not.
Oh, I believe that it started off when gay rights was a big movement, and I remember when they were in the Supreme Court and they were trying it, and one of the justices was like, "Who's paying you?" And they're like, "No, we actually all really care. We're all these activists are just passionate, and they actually really cared about making marriage equality, make marriage, gay marriage legal." And then that happened, and then all those activists then moved on to trans rights, and it's not the same. And now that's why it is where it is.
I gotta think this through. You're saying so you're saying that because of how gay rights went, um,
No, I'm saying the activists, like the literal activists, and the social role of the activism, but also the literal people that were the activists after gay marriage became legal, moved on to the next. Like that's why LGBT. That's why the T was put on to the end of that because they're lumping it onto the same movement. And all those activists are now working on trans rights, except it's not equal. It's not the same. It's not. There's no fucking reason it should make sense to add being trans and your gender identity to your sexual orientation. It's not the same.
well, I don't think that it is the same, but I think
It,
that um, there's some value to be gained by getting the support of a successful movement. 'Cause
yeah, I
I've
mean,
always
yes,
said,
clearly there is because they've been successful at advocating for it.
yeah, well, I've always said that I hate that all the marginalized groups advocate for themselves instead of grouping together and advocating for each other. So I think that the LGBTQ plus community has done the thing that I've always wanted to see. Well, at least they've come as close to the thing that I wanted to see as possible. And whereas they're not just advocating for themselves, they're advocating for each other as well. And I think that that's the way that people that don't have a voice need to go about it, because if you make up 5%, 1%, 10% of uh, an unheard voice, if you couple that with other people that are also not being heard, you have a chance to actually get loud. So I guess I see this as a good thing.
What, just advocating for anything blindly?
No, it's amplifying each other's voices.
Sure, amplifying each other's voices helps things happen.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the voices of the trans movement were amplified by the activists and the movement of the gay rights, and that's where they came from, and that's why it got to where it is.
But why is that bad?
Because it's not the same, and we're treating it like it's the same, but it's not. I think that gender affirming care is throwing under the bus, like the people that are affected by societal problems that make people hate themselves. Instagram, I'm sure has made people more trans. Like that certainly made me trans. Made me have dysphoria. It made me wanted to be a woman because I wanted to be a glamorous, beautiful person. We have like all social media gives us such a glamorous idea of like a perfect individual that we wish that we were, and for some people that's the opposite sex. And then like so we have a societal problem where people are hating themselves. They want to be something else, and our solution is to just say, well, actually you're all born that way, and then we don't get evidence for that. Well, it doesn't matter. You're like, but you're not born that way, but you also like you're that way, so you should change yourself. You should be changing yourself rather than us dealing with the problems that are leading to people doing this. You should all just change yourself to be like the person in the commercial that you wish that you were.
Now, I don't think that I would never say so you should change yourself, but I would say that nobody should be able to stop you.
Well, that's where we disagree.
Yeah. I want to say something else, but also, he's been in there for a while. Do you mind if Will comes in here?
Sure. But wait, just to add on, I don't think you should stop people if you have like the money to do it for yourself, like your family members should tell you not to, but yeah. No,
So I
nothing I
think
can do.
that's probably the best argument that like I could potentially be on board with is that other people shouldn't have to pay for it. Um, I'm not entirely sure. Uh,
I
I
don't
think
feel
that's the
that
most
way,
reasonable though, by
but I
far.
don't but I don't feel that way because it's not that I don't want to be paying for it. Like that's not how I feel about taxes and shit. Like it's not I don't feel like, "Oh, you've you asshole, you've taken my tax money and done this." No, the reason I don't want it to be paid for is because I don't want it to be provided for you and made easy for you to hurt yourself.
No, I agree. That one of the things that makes me the most upset about uh the government that we have is that my money goes to paying to kill people that I've never met. It drives me fucking insane. I don't support the idea that like I'm being forced to pay for murder via war. I hate it. Like you're taking money out of my paycheck, so like I am somehow responsible for the death of people that I have no say in it. It drives me insane that when I go to work, I'm helping to pay to kill somebody. Um, I can understand that. I can understand being against like your taxes paying for things that you strongly disagree with. I'm very, very sympathetic to that.
I'm okay with that.
So
I'm
it's a
okay with
very
that.
confusing answer.
No, I'm okay with that. I just don't want I don't care about it being my money. I just don't want people to be have easy access to hurting themselves. Like if like in Canada they have like socialized healthcare or whatever,
Hmm.
like universal healthcare, and like they've made this new thing like where you can have assisted suicide.
Yeah,
And
I think that's kind of crazy. Well,
like, and
no.
the reason that the reason I'm against that isn't because it's my money, because as if I'm a Canadian. If I was a Canadian, it's not because it's my money going to that. No, it's because I don't want you to have access to suicide.
I'm okay with certain assisted suicides, but I know that like they just give you the option to die if you're like a burden and shit, which is fucking nuts to me. As big a
Yeah.
fan of Canada as I am, that one's really, really bad. Um, like can't pay your
Yeah.
bills? Well, the suicide's free. We'll even help.
Well,
That's kind of
if you
fucking
can
insane to me.
if you can pay this one bill, and it's the only bill you're gonna ever have to fucking pay.
Or just put it on your credit card. You won't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me. I know it's not like you just go there and ask, but the ways in which they make it available, I think,
They
are
make you go through
it's
6 months of therapy where they make sure that you really, really do want to kill yourself. And then when your 6 months are done, then they let you do it. That's so fucking. Oh Jesus Christ, dude!
like I'm pretty on board with like Dr. Kevorkian style assisted suicides.
I'm on board with
I
what
don't
is
know
the
if you
name
know
of the
who that
guy?
is.
I don't know who that is, but you know the guy from House of Cards. What is that guy?
Kevin Spacey?
Yeah. In the first episode, I didn't watch all House of Cards, but the first episode, like a puppy gets hit by a car, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like suffering, and it's like about to die, and he goes up to it, and everybody like there's like people like crying and screaming, and he's like, sometimes you gotta. I don't know what he says, but and he's like he breaks its neck to end its suffering, and like if someone like if you're about to die and you're in massive pain and suffering, then I guess in that case like it's different, but that's the only time.
It's funny because I actually am pretty divided internally about euthanasia of animals because they can't tell you. Because like I can imagine a world where some people are really suffering. Like, yeah, everything sucks. Don't fucking kill me though. And you can't get that from an
Sure.
animal.
Sure.
Um,
I'm thinking like war, like you see somebody get like the half of their body blown off and they're like like that I would shoot them in the head to end it.
I wouldn't.
That would
What if there were a prosthesis that they could get, Smith?
prosthesis. No, I know. I'm saying like literally like their belly button and down is like gone and they're bleeding out and they're
Oh no, penis. Okay, well, no, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I
like your
mean,
spine
I,
is severed completely, and like there's no way you're going to survive at all. You're gonna live for a maximum of 10 minutes, and if you're allowed to live for those 10 minutes, it's going to be the worst experience, like to like magnitudes that you've ever experienced in your entire life.
If they could ask me to do it, then I could do it.
yeah, if they asked, like,
Yeah, I
if
wouldn't
not,
just take it
just
upon myself.
give them too much like morphine. Come on, Jesus.
Well, you
I'm
can't,
talking. Yep,
you can't have
you're
that on
in
the
war.
battlefield. Yeah.
Actually, did you know that all of the nerve agents, like the stuff that they give you to combat nerve agents, has like a super strong dose of volume in it?
Valium.
Facts.
Yeah. It has like 200 milligrams of volume in it.
What does Valium do again?
It's
Calms
a
you.
benzo. Yeah, it's a super calming. It'll sedate you.
I don't think it's
But
actually a benzo, but it's like it acts as a
no,
benzo.
it's the original benzo.
Really?
It's yeah, alprazolam. It's the original benzo. The reason it's in there
Jeff
though is
Jeff Jeff Benzo's got his hands in everything.
well, the reason it's in there is because nerve agents will cause seizures, and benzos are really good for treating seizures.
Huh. Cool.
So Smith, should I have not have gotten bottom surgery?
I don't know. You said that you were in like massive pain and that you were born like intersex.
Well, yeah, I was getting bladder infections every month.
Yeah. And so you've had a medical condition that was solved by doing this, right?
Well, yeah, like now I
Yeah.
actually have something usable.
Yeah. I think that's different. Um
Okay, because big trans monopoly likes to drag us into everything. I don't want to have a giant fucking O on a flag.
a what?
Oh, that fucking progressive pride flag. It looks like the flag of Ohio with all the random
Oh
stupid shit
yeah,
thrown on
dude.
it.
I was telling someone else that happens to be
It's so
intersex.
ugly.
I was telling someone else that happens to be intersex. The purple circle.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think it's like it looks psychic. I don't
Yeah,
know why. Like it makes me think of I think there was like a video game I played, like an indie game but it just looks like psychic to me. I don't know. I know that sounds stupid, but
it looks
and it's
like
so
it looks like something from Earthbound.
yeah, exactly. And why the fuck is like race part of it now?
Don't you know black's a sexuality now?
I mean, if you browse
I don't know if I
4chan, that's
condone any
certainly
of
the
this
case.
stuff, but
What?
No, like there are a lot of people that seem to genuinely believe that black is a sexuality now.
Yeah, like that was the weirdest thing ever. Seeing that, like they just like like we're in such like a weird timeline where like flags get patch updates. Like every single month, they seem to like add something new to the fucking rainbow flag. Rainbow flag was fine. It was nice. Then they added like a brown bar and then a black bar, and then they just added like the flag of Ohio on there. It's so
weird. I have a polyamory flag behind all my monitors. It's the only
there.
flag I'd
Okay,
ever put
there.
up.
As somebody who has a passing interest in vexology, there are too many flags for these things.
They somebody told me something hilarious. That they fucked with
Study of flags.
the
Okay.
they fucked with the pride flag to spite gay men because gay men have a sense of color. And there is a lot of resentment in the LGBTQ plus QIA LMNOP community for gay men.
Excuse me, I think you mean the LGTV WTF PBQ plus 2.
Yeah.
That fucking Wi-Fi password of an anagram's also getting ridiculous.
Well,
Yeah, well the thing is, so this is something I heard Zizek say, which I thought was cool. At that point it was just LGBTQIA plus, and he said the only important character in there is the plus. All the rest suck. They should just get rid of all of them and just put plus, because plus means everybody. Right? By introducing every new character, you're separating people more. Because the plus represents everything. Like every new person you differentiate from the plus is now separate. And these people they all are not like aligned. Like there's like tension between all these different groups. But
Well,
like
well,
here's the
plus
thing.
is like the little skinny bar on the pie graph, and it says other, and then it explains below.
But
here's
but what
the
he said,
thing.
but Zizek said that everybody should be. We're all other. We're all the other.
Well, I think
It's
the
us.
message is once you get enough people, you get a letter. But until then, you're in the plus.
No,
Well, here
that's not because now they have.
I don't like it though because like
Seems like it.
see you two are like old enough to like remember this stuff. But like
Oh
when
yeah,
I was a
9/11.
kid, oh god. I remember I was just watching a video and it said like
Old enough to never
9/11
forget.
it said that 9/11 ruined the ruined Sons of Liberty, like the best Metal Gear game. But like so like it seemed like there was like this time like you could have like a Zack Snyder flashback. Like there was a time before when everything was like perfect and like the gays and the transes and the lesbians and everybody like seemed like they were like, okay, if we work together as one big group, we could get marriage passed, we could get like recognition from stuff, and then like it seemed like somewhere after that it like fractured off into like normal people who just like want to live their lives, and then like people who like push this idea of like almost like gender accelerationism. It's like the whole idea of like you just push it to its like absolute absurdity to the point that it breaks.
Yeah, I actually was a gender accelerationist at the time too. I openly said that I don't believe in gender, but I believed that I was I was of the opinion that trans people are very pro gender. But I was like, but they're breaking gender norms, so it doesn't matter. They're deconstructing gender, it'll be good in the end. And I think I was wrong.
Well, now they just want to break gender by like coincidentally reinforcing like every single gender stereotype in the world. Then again, like I did it when it was the previous W path and it required 2 years of just like treatment alone, seeing a psych before you could even go on hormones. But that's only for minors.
I'm at my I gotta eat dinner, and
All right, okay.
but
Will, I
yeah,
gave
Well,
just voice perms because you said that he could, but I didn't realize he didn't have voice perms. Give him 2 minutes of your time, and or leave.
I can give Will 2 minutes. I was gonna say I'm gonna
Okay.
tag Will in for cede the rest of
Oh,
my time to Will, but I'll
okay.
stick around for a couple minutes for you, buddy.
I'm gonna
Okay.
say Will and his mystery box are here.
Will and his
Yeah.
fucking badass
okay?
blunt.
What's up?
Hey, so we're all like late 20s here, right? I'm turning 29 next week.
Yeah, I'm still in my 20s.
I remember a time, back in middle school, right, where the worst thing that you could say to somebody was the F slur. Like basically like when people were just like, when they really wanted to make you feel like shit, they'd call you the F slur. At least between men. And and I think that, obviously this was what, like 2005, 2008, between then. And that was really a period of time I think where we saw, a huge shift for gay people in general. It's just gay acceptance. I mean, The Office, one of the most watched TV shows at the time, right? Like they have that episode where Michael calls Oscar, the F slur. And then it turns out, right, that, he's like, but I would never call a gay person the F slur. And then we have, it just goes on from there.
You're forgetting
Time
the
has passed.
episode from season 1 where it's like there's a gay man in the office and they do a gay witch hunt.
I would
Oh,
be remiss
yeah,
if I didn't say, I think
that's true.
getting called a pussy was still stung a little bit more, but point
Going
stands.
I don't think
going
so.
to a school
I
with a
really
lot of
don't think
Spanish
so.
people, they hated being called Dominican more than gay.
I say all this just to say that even within my time like in high school from middle school, like that was just completely evaporated. Like the whole calling people the F slur thing in a span of like 2 or 3 or 4 years. Just completely gone. Like it got to the point where you call somebody a F slur and they're like, I have sex with dudes? Like who gives a shit? Like it's what do you got? Like what else you got, you know? Um so why did people call people the F slur to begin with? It was because society, there was something against gay people. They were othered, and we thought that they were weird. But then in my opinion, and then the reality is that we slowly became less ignorant of the facts around gay people, and now we accept them. They're 5% of the population. They're fucking everywhere. Um, and it's very normal.
In more than ways than one, they're fucking everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah,
Um,
Fenway Park's big for it.
okay, so now with trans people. All right. The thing that you guys were talking about earlier, I think what Smeth was saying, I think just completely holds true. Like it is just completely different than gay people. Like the reason why people were made fun of for being gay is different than the reason why uh people want to transition. But I still feel like, like cuz we have this societal thing, right, where men have to be men and women have to be women, or at least that's how it was for a while. We have these pretty standard gender stereotypes. But as society transgresses and, women get more educated than men and all of these other things, the gender boundaries are breaking down. Um, and it doesn't really matter if you're a man anymore. Really, it doesn't really matter if you're a woman, at least in the United States. Um, but yet we still are seeing like more trans people than ever. The trans numbers are going up. I want to know why this is because it seems to me that if we live in a society that's more equitable across all of the genders, there would be less reason for anyone to want to be the other gender. If you were born a woman in the 50s, holy fuck, that sucks. Please make me a man immediately. If you're born a woman in 2023, the fuck's the difference? You have higher education standards than men. There's got a lot of benefits. And then vice versa for being a man. We still make more money than women statistically. We're still stronger, etc. Um, so what's the big fucking
We're we're
deal?
not we're
Like
not
I
objectified all the time. That's probably a
there you
big
go,
one.
sure. But I mean, but even then, dude. I mean, it's like men have to make more money. That's an objectification right there. Like
Yeah, I
most
I
men cannot
just
go out with women that make less
that's
than
true.
them.
That's true. But I just think as a teenager, being a teenage girl is probably like a really freaky thing. Like once just suddenly you start you start going through puberty as a girl, and then your uncle's acting different. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
get me out of here. You know?
I don't know, but for men, I mean, it's like your voice starts getting deeper and you start breaking out more and you start being smelly and
I'm just
like,
saying how other
you
Start
people
start
getting
treat you.
boners.
How other people treat you.
yeah,
Because
no, it's true. I mean, women are definitely like objectified more, for sure.
yeah.
Like there's more of that. But
Anyway,
I I just think that the real end goal for all of this is that it needs to be like what we did with gay people. No one gives a fuck if you're gay or straight anymore. No one gives a shit. You're gay? Okay. You're straight? Okay. Who gives a fuck? You're a boy? Like, who cares? You're a girl? Who gives a shit? Like, I don't give, you dress up like a man even though you have a vagina? Who fucking cares? You wear a dress and you have a dick? who gives a shit? Like, the thing that's fucking killing me is just that there's something here where we're taking the extra step here where we're like, we need to medically treat these people. And I think the only people that need to be medically treated are people with gender dysphoria. Because at that point, it might be kind of like the people on pain medication, you know, the 65-year-olds like my grandma that literally just suffer from pain that literally could not be healed. At that point, you let them have a Percocet addiction, you know? Because that's just literally the only way that you can get rid of their pain. If you suffer from such crazy gender dysphoria that the only way to do it is to mutilate yourself and get on medication, then okay, that might literally be the only way to heal you. But like, you are trans then. If you do not have gender dysphoria, I do not believe that you are trans. I believe that you just want to present as
You want to
more feminine,
transition.
or you just want to present as
Yeah.
more masculine or more feminine, and you want to save the step of having to be like, I'm a man with a dick that wears a dress. Like, you don't want to have to explain that. You just say, nah, I'm a woman.
Yeah, because
No, you're not.
nobody gets it. Nobody will get it. There is no room for it.
Well, wait.
You know, so
Correct.
I think that's too strong of a stance. All I know for sure is that there's two very different things occurring, and we don't know enough about the distinguishment between these two things because we act like it's the same thing. That's all I know.
But I think we know a pretty decent amount about the distinctions. I mean, we were living with the distinctions for 30,000 plus years, right? Like, so there's something there, you know.
Well, I'm saying
but now we live in a
I'm saying
society
between
where you don't
trans
have
people
to
without
anymore.
gender dysphoria.
Oh.
However you want to categorize trans people without gender dysphoria and trans people with it, these are two different things, but we group them into one thing. So I don't know enough about both, because that's not the conversation that we have.
I still think it was a major crime against science to pull that preprint about social contagion theory.
Exactly. Because
I think it's a conversation worth having.
If anyone's ever been to high school, bro, social contagions are a fucking thing. Like,
just
I don't
being on social media at all. Like I'm saying, like the more I look back, the impact that Instagram had, because I didn't start Instagram until college, and then the impact that had on my self-image and me wanting to be a woman is really big.
Yeah, Smeth's target A for social contagion
Okay, guys,
was completely normal. Then
gotta
all of a
peace out. I'm
sudden
gonna
has a
keep
closet
watching,
full of
though.
dresses.
get out
Leotards.
of here.
I've seen one video of you with a
Bye,
dress.
Alder.
Oh shit! Goodbye, Will. All right, guys. Go over to Smeth's channel on YouTube, at Real Smeth, I think, or youtube.com/@RealSmeth. I think that the conversation's going on is still worth watching. I don't think I have any of him to raid into. He's not on Twitch, but go watch him. That's it for me. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Thanks again, Froggy Style, for donating to me. I appreciate you so much. That's super cool of you.